Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, the Atlanta Falcons are out on Lamar Jackson. I will say I told you so. And we have a very special guest that will tell you exactly how she feels about Quin Snyder. And last but not least, and for the culture, why can't we just have some fun? That's all next right here on ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. Today's episode of ATL Day One is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. But, I know I said it's ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. However, that is not Tenitra Batiste. That is Maria Martin, the wonderful, the amazing 11 Alive anchor / reporter / I do it all, and I'm talented, and I'm going to smile and look good on TV each and every time I'm doing it.
You're the best.
It's Happy International Women's Day. First off, I'm going to say that. And then, Maria, thank you for joining the show.
Look, I am so happy to be here. I love Tenitra. She's my girl. I love every time you ask me to do it, too. I love being on this show. You guys are great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, we got a lot to talk about. I talked about, with the news of Lamar Jackson being franchise tagged with a non-exclusive franchise tag, by the way, so many teams can give an offer for a certain amount or whatever, and then if the Ravens decide not to agree to those terms, that team has to give them 2 first-round picks in order to get Lamar Jackson services. Now, the Falcons have been rumored all in connection with that, but we got the report not too long after they franchise tagged them, Maria, the fact that the Falcons are out on Lamar Jackson. And I think I thought it was very interesting that as soon as that happened, you start to see other teams along with the Falcons saying they are absolutely out on Lamar Jackson. What were your your first thoughts when you heard the news that the Falcons weren't going to be involved in it?
I don't know. I was a little surprised just because of how we saw what happened with Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson has more of a clean slate than Deshaun did. So why not go for this quarterback? And clearly the Falcons do need a quarterback, even though they do like Desmond Ridder. They have said that time and time again that they want to see him develop and grow, but there is going to have to be another quarterback. Now, is it going to be someone that you get in the draft or someone in free agency? For me, I would have loved to have Lamar in Atlanta. I think he makes so much sense for this city. He's a great quarterback. He's got plenty of years ahead of him, plenty of good years of football ahead of him. But right now, given the way that the Falcons are and how they've had to fight 2 years to get out of cap catastrophe, and now they're finally in a place where they can spend money in a lot of different areas, I just didn't think that it made a whole lot of sense for me in this moment. And clearly it didn't make sense for the Falcons either. They can get a quarterback, or they believe that they can get a quarterback in another way and also spend that $62+ million of cap space in other areas. For me, the Falcons have so many needs beyond the quarterback. So to use all of your resources to get Lamar didn't totally make sense. Also, it's funny because I'm not sold that the Falcons are going to take a quarterback in the first round of this draft. I don't think a lot of people are. However, I do think that there are very good quarterbacks in this draft. And looking ahead, I think there's 2 that I am 100% in on, which would be Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I think they have tremendous upside and tremendous room to grow. Now, will they take a quarterback in the first round? I don't know, but I think initially I don't know. I guess I was kind of surprised just because they were all in on Deshaun at one point, or at least it was reported that they were. To not be interested in Lamar at all, I think it's just he's going to come at a really high price tag, and that non-exclusive franchise tag really just opens up the discussion of the market is going to set the salary for Lamar, and it's going to be hefty. The Falcons didn't want to give up that much money. I understand.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I kind of want to take you back to the end of the year press conference when I was out there, and I asked Terry a couple of questions, and I think this was what did it for me, which brought my non-surprise as well when I heard this report. It was when I asked him about the type of players that they like to draft, and how do you kind of like figure out what that looks like, and use that as a template to, you know, select different guys. And unsolicited, he brought up Desmond Ridder. He was just like, Desmond Ridder is our type guy. He's the guy. It was consistency. Every time we interacted with him, the same exact way, whether it be in the interviews, on the field, after practice, you know, all those things that just, and even at the NFL Combine as well. So all of those things kind of said to me, like, he's not necessarily saying that, hey, this is our QB1 for the next 10 years. Sure. But he is saying, you know what? We want to see how this plays out. And, you know, and we want to know if we're right or not. Because, and that's the thing that kind of, another thing that really just kind of bothered me when people start trying to jump on the Lamar Jackson train is the fact that, like, they were sold on this guy just last year. Like, I understand he played 4 games, and some people were like, you know, he's okay. But they like what they saw in him in those 4 games, and they want to see more. And I have no problem with that, because that's the big picture. The big 30,000-foot view for me is the fact that I like is the fact that they're using patience. They're exercising patience, because, yeah, can you trade for Lamar Jackson and potentially win the NFC South this year? Yeah, but are you going to win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Yeah, I don't think so.
I didn't think that Lamar would fix all of your problems tomorrow. And especially when you look at long-term, like you said, I think that's a really good point. You know, he would be the best quarterback. I know Derek Carr is with the Saints now, but I think
that's not even a question. He would be the best.
There's no question. Absolutely. He would be the best quarterback in the NFC South, but it doesn't fix your long-term issue that the Falcons do have. And you got to fix it in a lot of different areas of the field. Yes, quarterback is one of them, but like you said, they're issuing patience. Problem is, patience doesn't really do well in the NFL, especially not with football fans. But
indeed,
you know, I would also entertain the idea of a cheaper free agent quarterback. That way you get Desmond Ridder in with somebody who does have experience. He didn't have that. Marcus Mariota wasn't even around. So to have someone to learn from while he's growing, I mean, remember, he wasn't a 6th-round guy. I mean, this is a quarterback with tremendous upside. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, and then he has that experience, so he's not your typical rookie. You know, he got almost 50 games in college, 50 starts in college. So when you think about
Anthony Richardson.
I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about Anthony Richardson. So let's do it. I was a guy that was super out on Anthony Richardson when he played against Georgia, and I saw that game. I was just like, Georgia's probably as close as you possibly going to get to playing against NFL talent in college football world. Sure. You know, and that proves itself with back-to-back national championships and like 30 people being drafted in the first round, and probably another 5 this year. You know what I'm saying? But but as I look at him more, as I think about him more, and I kind of look at the skill set, and it's just like, man, I can understand why teams are going to jump on that bandwagon. That's why I feel like I would not be surprised, Maria, and I know you're a Florida alum too, so I know that kind of hits home for you. I would not be surprised if this dude gets drafted in the top 5. I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, I saw a recent mock draft of him going to the Raiders at 7, so right before the Falcons. It's not totally shocking, especially given how much hype has been around him ever since the Combine happened in Indianapolis. And look, he's incredibly gifted. He's naturally very athletic. It's very obvious. He had a tremendous Combine, which, to be honest, aside from Bryce Young, who did not participate in those on-field drills, he will in Tuscaloosa, I thought all of the quarterbacks really looked incredible. And even Stetson Bennett surprised me in Indy. So
the hype train is coming. It's on. It's on.
But with Anthony, the biggest thing that concerns me is that he does not, you said Desmond Ridder has, over 50 games of experience at Cincinnati. Anthony Richardson did not have that at all. He's got half that and then half of that. Like, he really doesn't have a lot of college experience when it comes to being a starting quarterback. That concerns me when it comes to going to the NFL and being expected to be a starter in your first round, in your first year, if you're going to be that high of a first rounder. Look, he's tremendously athletic and gifted. His combine is measurable. All those things, you're sitting there like, wait, why have we not been paying attention to this guy? But I'm very skeptical with Anthony. I still think there's a couple ahead of him that may pan out to be better. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, etc.
I'm the type of guy, Maria, that I like to believe what I see when it comes to this football thing. Like, I understand the whole measurables and the 443 and 240 some odd pounds.
Right.
Like, man, turn on the tape. What did he do on the field? Like, that's what I'm gonna judge off because I'm not that risky type of guy. Some team is gonna do it. I promise you. Some team is gonna jump on that bandwagon. It happens every single year. Now, coming up next, we're going to talk about Quin Snyder. Maria's going to give me the juice. She's going to give me the skinny on what she thinks about this new head coach. But before we do that, we have to talk about FanDuel.com/lockedon. It is the #1 sports book in America. You guys listen to the #1 podcast in America, so why don't you do the same when it comes to you trying to win some money? Because guess what they got for all the new customers? They got the no sweat first bet up to $1,000 if you lose your first bet. So if you losing money betting on the Hawks to win on the road, they've lost out on a 5-game losing streak. We're gonna talk about that. But hey, I need you to go to FanDuel.com because they have all the information right there for you. You can bet on point scores and the money line. They got each and everything that you need. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. And also, so don't make sure that you get your first no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bet when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, speaking of the NBA, Maria, Quin Snyder, he debuted as the Hawks head coach on February 28th. A lot of people were kind of like, man, hold on, this dude gonna start coaching right now? So he's trying to get some of that $8 million now. This dude came off of a vacation. He was in Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or somewhere.
Costa Rica, yeah.
One of them Icas, he was in one of them Icas. Having some family time and everything like that. But I think one of the things that I respect about Quin Snyder is the fact that he was able to say, you know what? I want to get a good look at this team right now. I want to see what I'm working with, and not necessarily I wasn't necessarily sold on them going on a run like they did, back in 2021 with Nate McMillan took over as the head coach. But I do like the fact that he's a guy that said, I want to get in here, I want to get a feel for these guys. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like what I've been seeing with his interactions with Trey, which we know is a very important relationship going forward for this team as in the now and for the future. But I want to get your thoughts on what you think about Quin Snyder so far as a head coach of this team.
It's funny that you brought up the vacation thing because the dude was wearing board shorts at practice, his very first practice. Seriously, I was like, get this man some shorts.
Right.
It was the funniest thing. I was like, wow, he really was in Costa Rica.
Right.
But I do really like him so far. But again, it's such a small sample size with a team that already had something going before he got there. I do like that a lot of the players have said what he does right now is just kind of allows them to play. And he's kind of more of a secondary figure at this point in time. I'm sure he'll infiltrate himself more as a coach and more hands-on in the coming games. And as we get further down the season, there's not much left. But I think it was smart for him to jump in and get acclimated to this team right now because this is the perfect time to do it. I mean, there is a lot of drama happening with the Hawks. Obviously, we wouldn't be talking about a new head coach if that were not the case. So to get in and to figure out what's going on, to talk to the players, to get with them one-on-one. And he's very much a relationship type guy. I got that vibe from him when we spoke one-on-one. And then even talking to Kyle Korver, who's the assistant general manager for the Hawks now, who obviously played here in Atlanta. Everybody knows the story about Kyle, great guy. But he has played for him before. And he kept telling me, I learned something new. This is what I took from our conversation that I thought was the best. He said, I learned something new every day with Quin. And you know how hard that is to do in the NBA, to learn something new every single day? He said he came to work every day and had something new for me. And I thought that was really important because we haven't heard that from players in a while. And even seriously, I was there the first time that he was doing shoot around as the new Hawks head coach. And he was more involved. Normally we don't get to actually see the coach be with the players. They're usually gone at this point when they let the media in. He was sitting with every single player one-on-one. Even Trey, pointing things out, going through different things with them. I haven't seen that from someone in the 3.5 years that I've been here, which isn't long, but it's enough of a sample size to get, 3 NBA coaches now? Yes. So, I've been impressed so far. And everybody that talks about Quin, he has a proven record at Utah, right? I mean, 6 out of the 8 seasons he made it to the NBA postseason, and you want somebody like that. The problem with the Hawks, at least for me, and this is just my opinion, I guess, is that when you talk about the Eastern Conference Finals run a couple of years ago, they overachieved in that year, right? Nobody expected them to be there. So once you reach that point and you're in the Eastern Conference Finals and you're making it deep in the Eastern Conference Finals, everyone starts to expect even more. So it puts them in a rough position. They're there. They have the pieces. They have the roster. It's just, can Trey get along with Quin? Can they learn from each other? And can they work together? And then how can you make the whole thing work around them as well? This is one of the best backcourts in the league. Use it. Let's play defense. Let's figure it out. Hopefully Quin's the guy to do it.
Yeah, I think you said the key right there, because you talk about the best backcourt with DeJounte Murray. They have to figure this out and make this thing work, because that's what I'm concerned about. I'm not necessarily concerned about John Collins and whether he's going to be on the team. Yeah. I'm concerned about DeJounte Murray and Trae Young finding some synergy, and Quin Snyder being able to unlock those two guys on the court at the same time. Because when you think about giving up 3 first-round picks, that is a lot of compensation for a guy that's, after next year, he's going to be a free agent. And when you think about the amount of money, I know Tony Wrestler would tell anybody that was willing to listen that he wasn't making moves not to stay up under the luxury tax, but that's what it looked like. Yeah. Those were the optics. That's exactly what it looked like when they traded Kevin Huerter away for a bag of gumballs and some Scotch tape. You know what I mean? It's like so those are some of the things that I feel like, with this team and how this team is going to be built, not only for the short term but for the long term. That's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm looking for that long-term stability, just like the Falcons. I want long-term stability, man. I want to be able to have teams to root for a long period of time, and I think Quin Snyder is the guy to do that. So as we move forward, I thought you brought up a really good point about Kyle Korver too, because according to Landry Fields, when in that introductory press conference, he said that, hey, soon as Landry Fields, the person who said I made the decision, he made it very emphatic about letting everybody know he made that decision. So when he said he made a decision, he said Kyle immediately called Quin Snyder on the phone and said, hey, what you want to do? And I absolutely love that, because I really feel like this organization needs to be able to make phone calls like that and be able to establish relationships with people and be able to, and be respected around the league, because, Kyle is a guy who's respected in the locker room, around the league, and obviously, the type of relationship that he had with Quin Snyder, for Quin Snyder to pick up the phone, he's like, man, no, you forget that. I'm waiting till the offseason so it can be a bidding war so I can really get this money. So I really appreciate what Quin Snyder brings to the table, because I think this is something that can eventually bring them to the point where, hey, we get some respectability around the league, because Lord knows the whole athletic report and Shams Charania and Tony Wrestler going on the car wash on a Friday, that was just it was just a little awkward, Maria. I'm just gonna keep it like that. It was a little awkward.
There's never a dull moment right now with the Hawks. It's great entertainment. If you're not paying attention, you probably should.
Yes, absolutely, and it's even more crazy behind the scenes, because you can tell how Maria's looking. There's some things that she can't necessarily say that's written all over her face, and there's some things that I can't say either, and I got to throw it away as well. But we're gonna continue to talk about, what you guys need to know right here on ATL Day Ones. And there's something that happened that I thought was very interesting, and I really feel like sometimes companies just need to just relax and let people have fun. Before we talk about that, though, got to talk about Built Bar. How about this? You looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat of the calories? Go try a Built Bar. I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting skinny around this thing. I'm starting to shape up. I'm about to start walking around with my shirt off.
You look great.
I appreciate that, Maria. You know what I'm saying? I've been eating these Built Bars because I know a lot of times I'm in a rush. Can't get anything to eat. I don't got time to make something. I go grab me a Built Bar because it's quick, and it has 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. That's what you want when you need something quick before you go hit that iron, because I know I got to get it in, so I need a little energy in my life. They even got, what kind of flavors they got, Jarvis? Hold on, I got you. How about this? They got the flavors like churro, which is amazing, by the way, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. If you don't like coconut, but you love almonds, you can barely taste it. So go and check those people out. Now you don't want to wait around to get a box. Here's what you need to do. For years, we've been talking about ordering the Built bars at Built.com, right? You can still get your Built bars at Built.com. However, but if you want them doggone, go pick them up, you want to feel it, you want to go to a box store, Walmart or Sam's Club, they got everything right there for you. So head to your nearest Walmart today and go find yourself a good, nice, tasty Built bar. But folks, this is Locked On Sports Atlanta, and I want to thank you for making that first listen. How about you make your second listen? Locked On Sports today. They have all the news and good things right there waiting for you with the take of the day, and you can find it wherever you find this podcast. But Maria, this is for the culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell I want to talk about, because that's just how we get down on this show. You know, today is no different. So there's a man by the name of Andrew Perloff. Who is Andrew Perloff? Andrew Perloff is a host for CBS Sports Radio, and he talked about his love for peanut butter on the airways, Maria, and then, you know, his co-host, which goes by the name of Maggie Gray. Maggie Gray said, hey, you know, how can you eat? How fast can you eat, or how much do you like to eat it? And he said, I can eat a whole jar of peanut butter on the show. So they were building this thing up. You know how radio bits are. They get building it up. They saying, okay, on tomorrow's show, we're going to eat a jar of peanut butter. And then tomorrow came. They started doing the show and everything. Then next thing you know, they got a letter from corporate saying, hey, this has to be approved first. Like, wait a minute. Like, what has to be approved? So I'm thinking, somebody saying they love peanut butter. Obviously, they don't have any allergies, Maria, but
Right.
like, is this going a little bit too far with the whole making sure we're being safe, making sure we don't have to worry about any lawsuits? Or do you think the company has a point by, you know, making sure to get approved first?
So, like, here's the thing. I didn't know if I was going to break it to you now or when you were texting me about this. I am allergic to peanut butter.
Oh, wow.
So I can't eat it. I literally don't even know. I've
Wow.
never even tried it. But I think,
Really?
yeah, I can't.
Wow. Of course. Yeah.
But-
yeah.
But I will say, like, I think I understand. It's kind of dangerous, right? Like, you can choke on it.
Yeah. I mean, but he knows he's not allergic to it because he said he uses it all the time, right?
Right. I guess, I don't know. In their mind, it's like, okay, if he's speed eating peanut butter, have you ever done that? I don't know.
No. Like, I can imagine that would be very difficult.
But it wouldn't be like a hazard, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about hazard. Like, it'd be hard to choke. Like, as long as you have some water. But I mean, they eventually let him do it. But I just think that the fact that, you know, it's something that. Well, let me ask you this: like, what's your favorite food? What's your go-to
That's
food?
impossible. I love food. I don't know. I just ate a Publix sub, so I love Publix subs.
So could you like eat like 3 Publix subs within an hour or so?
If there was like money involved, I would be doing anything humanly possible to eat 3 Publix subs in an hour. Okay, I would make it work.
Right. So I mean, I feel like you don't have anything to worry about because you know your capabilities, you know your limitations. You know, it's not like you saying, "Hey, I'm gonna eat 60 hot dogs." Like, no, I don't want no hot dogs like that. I don't like hot dogs like that.
If it was like a hot dog competition, I could see corporate being like, "All right, hold on, like I don't know about this."
It's
But,
people who do this professionally. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
why I'll never understand, but you know, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a little like just let him eat the peanut butter. It's not a big deal.
yeah. I mean, come on,
Whatever.
loosen up a little bit. How about this?
Listen up.
But yeah, so okay. Here's the thing. Now,
Yeah.
I like to skim Twitter a lot. You know, especially when I'm doing
We all
a little
do.
preparation and everything. We all do that. And I came across a tweet. Now I know you're gonna give me the real on this one. Now, Maria, I came across a tweet that said, and you said to the fact. Of course, I'm gonna say it verbatim.
Okay.
That Atlanta might just be in the conversations to get a professional NHL team. What?
Yeah. So it was Friday night, and
Okay.
also, by the way, if you put NHL in your headline, you're gonna get mad traffic because everyone is so hungry for any kind of conversation about the NHL. It's unbelievable. The way that this has taken off over the weekend is just mind-blowing to me. It's really exciting. As a diehard hockey fan, I'm pumped about it. That doesn't mean that there's a guaranteed NHL team. So rewind. On Friday, John Buccigross tweeted out a picture of Atlanta and just said, I don't even remember exactly what it said, but something about like NHL is coming to Atlanta. And then he said Alpharetta. And I'm like, there's no way, like, where's it coming from? Right. So I started digging around, and I know people in the hockey circle here, which is very, very small now that 2 teams have failed here. I start texting around and saying, hey, is there any truth to this? Is there any validity to this at all? And if so, what can I put out there? They were like, yes. And everything I tweeted, I was screenshotting and sending it to the person I was texting. And he just kept saying, green light, green light, green light, send it, send it, send it. So yeah, there is conversation to bring the NHL back here to Atlanta, for sure. I can definitively say that. Does that mean it's 100%? No, it's not. And I think that that's where the disconnect is with fans right now. They saw Buccigross's tweet and thought, okay, it's definitely coming back here 100%. But what I was told was it's closer to 70, which is still very high.
That's very high, yes.
Very, very high. And the NHL has apparently asked about some land in Alpharetta, and tomorrow, on what day of the week is it? On Thursday,
yes.
The Alpharetta mayor will be giving his state of the city address, and so we're actually going to be there because at this point, I'm sure he's going to have to talk about potentially hockey being in Alpharetta. I think for the NHL, and not to speak for them, but just kind of what I've heard from different people is that in their minds, if they can build something like the Battery and mimic what the Braves did, leaving the south of the city and building something like it, the team would be a lot better. And yes, I understand the ownership was the reason that it failed 2 times here in the city. But I think if you were to give the team to the right person, put it in the right scenario, it would thrive here. It would thrive here. And I would love to see hockey back. There's going to be a lot of hurdles to be jumped before it can get back, but I don't see a reason why they wouldn't give the city another try if it's the right ownership, the right scenario, building something Battery-esque. I think it's great.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, because anything in Atlanta would be successful, right? Because it's just we have a lot of people here, and they have a lot of different interests, and I think that would be really cool. Florida Panthers?
And I'm a diehard Panthers fan for sure. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm glad that you knew that. Diehard Panthers fan. I wore my Panthers hat like the day after I was tweeting all that stuff. And I'm just trying to like manifest a team coming back here. It'd be so great, and I'm excited to see people really happy about it. And this is such a transplant city, and that's why I think hockey would do really well given the right scenario and putting it in a place where there's other things for fans to do. Just like the Battery. I mean, look what the Braves did. They had the 2nd highest attendance in baseball, and they're thriving at the Battery. It's a great place to go watch a game. And I think if you can get, the right team here, there's a lot of people really excited about it. And I do know that there's people, I don't know anything, to be totally honest, I don't know anything about what the construction of the new ownership group would look like, but I know that there are people very interested in bringing it here and doing everything they can in their power to make it happen. So yes, the NHL did acquire about some land in Alpharetta, and that's kind of what started the buzz, I think, was people heard that, and then it was like, why is the NHL acquiring about land? It just kind of went crazy. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, from what I was told too, I can give you this as well. A lot of people were asking me, is it expansion or is it relocation? And from what I understand, both are on the table. So if it was expansion, they would likely have to add another team. People have mentioned Houston, and the NHL has been known to expand in the past. And so to me, a lot of people are like, Atlanta's not a hockey city. Well, Nashville sure as heck wasn't either. And the Preds it's a hockey town.
They figured it out, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would love to see it back here. I mean, then that would complete the pro sports circle for me. We've got everything else here from soccer, baseball, NBA, WNBA, NFL. You got NHL here. I mean, the city would thrive. It would be so great.
Yeah, I would love to learn a new sport because I remember when Atlanta Thrashers were, they were doing their thing, and my brother had gone through his company. He was telling me about it. He was like, man, you got to get to a game. You got to get to a game. I was like, cool, let's do it. And as soon as I said that, Atlanta Spirit Group happened. So,
came in at the wrong time.
Yeah. So I was a little late to the party, but yeah, for sure. If it ends up being Alpharetta, now that's a haul for me coming from where I'm coming from, but I will make my way out there if they are able to make that happen. Maria, Man, this show went by so fast. It's always go by fast.
Seriously, it did.
I really
It really
appreciate
did.
you for coming on with us and rocking with us on International Women's Day. Really appreciate you for that. We also appreciate you for checking out ATL Day Ones and making it your first listen of the day. Why don't you stop by Locked On Sports today and make it your second listen? You can find it wherever you find this podcast. And Maria, I like to do this, each and every day of the show. And I'll make sure, and you can partake as well. Guys, if you don't do anything else for the rest of the day, I want to make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, spread love.
I love
Peace.
that.